everybody, it's Mary Davis here from QBO Cleanups, and I've got another video for you. This one will be about bank and credit card accounts. And what we're going to do today is we're going to go over the bank feeds, how to manage them, each term means as far as, to match, to add transactions, and how to connect a bank account. So as you see here, we're starting out in our sample company, Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. We are on the dashboard, and in order to view the bank feed, we need to go to Banking, and here are our connected bank and credit card accounts. Now the first thing you'll want to do, if you haven't already, is to link an account, and here's where you will type in the name of your bank. We'll just say we have a Chase Bank here. And once you've actually gotten your subscription, it will, when you choose your bank, it'll walk you through connecting. You'll enter your credentials, your login credentials for the bank, and then you will choose which account that you want to connect. Now, I do strongly recommend creating that account in QBO before you go to connect it, and you will see why when you go ahead and connect the account with the bank. It'll ask you which account in QuickBooks do you want to connect this to. So it's always better to have that set up prior to logging into your bank and connecting it. So then you're sure you've got it in the right account. So here we've got, we're looking at our checking feed, and you'll see here we have 25 transactions, and those are in our For Review tab. And you'll see there are 3 tabs here. We are looking at the For Review. That means these transactions have come in from your bank or credit card feed, but they are not in your QuickBooks yet. Just keep that in mind, that just because these transactions are showing in QuickBooks does not mean they are in your register. They are not actually entered yet. QuickBooks is waiting for you to approve them to be entered into your books and your registers. So we'll see here we've got a few transactions already that QuickBooks has matched for us, and by matching, what I mean is, you'll see here this Books by Bessie. This is a check that was written by Craig's Landscaping, and it has matched this check that is written. It came in through the bank feed as a $55 transaction, an expense, and it wants to know, it's asking you, is this correct? Am I correct in assuming that this is matching this particular check written to Books by Bessie? And if you want to double check that, you can just click whatever transaction that QuickBooks is matching it to and say, oh yes, that is correct. It is check number 12. It was written on April 5th. And you can just close that out now that you've double checked it. Also here in the match, it will tell you we are matching this to check 12. $55 check written to Books by Bessie, and you just click the match, and then it will be added to your QuickBooks Online, to your actual bank register. So you would just proceed through each of these and just double check, always double check that these expenses are matching the correct check, because sometimes if you have checks that are written for the same amount, it will match to the incorrect check, and you don't want that. And the reason you don't want that happening is because when you go to reconcile, say you wrote 2 $200 checks to employees for whatever, for a bonus, for reimbursements, and it is matching the wrong check. Well, then when you go to reconcile, you'll see, hey, Joe Schmo has not cashed this check yet, but in actuality, he did. It's the other check that did not clear. So you do want to be really careful with that. So see, here we do see expense 15. Yes, that is correct. So you would just proceed through each one, and sometimes you will actually see here where there's 2 matches. And this is an example of what I just said. If you do have 2 expenses for the same amount, you have to watch QuickBooks because it may match to the wrong transaction. So see, what we'll look at here is it was a check to Books by Bessie, and it was not a check or an expense to Pam sites. So we do want to click that and then match. Again, here, squeaky clean car, we have a check expense, and we also have a cash expense. So then what we do is we look at the date. So we know that this did not occur on the 7th of May. It occurred on the 14th. So we will match to the 14th transaction. So as you go through, you will just double check everything. And every once in a while, of course, you're going to have a transaction that doesn't match anything. Like this here, the rental. So we will click that to open it. And then we see the bank detail. Here says A1 rental. So we will assume that that transaction was to A1 rental. And if you don't already have that vendor in your QuickBooks, then we'll add the vendor. And then we will categorize it. Let's see, we will probably call this travel, since it's a car rental. This is where you would enter if a customer is being billed for this. Say, you had to travel to a customer site, and whatever agreement you have with them, you are charging travel time. You could choose a customer to charge it to. And this selection, this availability to charge to a customer is available in QuickBooks Online Plus and above. This would be considered classes and locations. So this looks good. So we're going to go ahead and add that transaction. And you'll see here from this point forward that QuickBooks says, oh, A1 rental, that's travel. So it will recommend that for you at this point. And then also in this one, it came through A1 rental, backhoe rental. So we can create a rule. We're going to name this A1 rental and money out because it's an expense. You can also choose money in if it's a deposit, but in this case it's money out. And you can also choose in all bank accounts because sometimes you will have an expense to a company that you used your credit card to, that you also use your debit card with or write checks to. So I always like to keep an eye on that, and if that's a possibility, choose all bank accounts. Description, I like to choose bank text because it seems to be more accurate. So the bank text will contain a rental, and then it's an expense. We're going to charge this particular one to equipment rental because it was for a backhoe. And again, if it's always a certain customer, if this is a job that you're doing excavation for a customer and you can charge it directly to them on an invoice, it will save that for you. So when you go to create an invoice for this customer, it will actually ask you, do you want to add this? Pop out from the sidebar, which is kind of nice. So then you choose here if you want to auto add it, which you need to be very careful with because sometimes transactions will get added to your QuickBooks automatically that you really should be keeping an eye on. Out of sight, out of mind. Sometimes it's better to just leave this off auto add until you're absolutely sure that you trust that categorization to be accurate. And then we click save. So then you see here that that particular transaction we were working with is assigned by a rule to job expenses equipment rental. And we could just open that up and see a little more of it. Okay, so we can just remove this customer here. We're not going to charge it to a customer. And we're going to click add, and that will add it to our bookkeeping and to our register. And that's how you would proceed. Again, we have another here that's not recognized. Hicks Hardware, it's already added as a vendor, so we would choose, let's see, job materials. And then you could create a rule here name this Hicks Hardware. Money out, not money in, money out. It's an expense. And then the bank text will contain Hicks Hardware. And we always want to call this job materials. The payee is Hicks Hardware. We're going to click Save. So then we see up here, it says the rule has been applied, and the rule is categorizing it as job materials. So that looks good to me, and we can add it. So I do want to cover here as well the fact that there are 3 tabs here. For review means they have not been added. They are here in your bank feed. They want you to go ahead and look these over and approve them for QuickBooks to be added to your bank register as well. And then here we see categorized. Now these are all the transactions that have been added by you or QuickBooks to your register. So if you ever have to, and you will at some point, have to remove a transaction from your register and redo it because there's a mistake with it, such as, say, this Hicks Hardware. Okay, we added that to job materials, and we want to change that category for whatever reason. So once you have clicked undo, you will go back to the For Review tab, and it added it back in there. And you can make any changes you like there. If you wanted to change the category or subcategory, you can go ahead and do that. And then re-add it. Now excluded, this once in a while you will need to use mostly because when the bank feeds come through, sometimes they will break. Sometimes they will duplicate, a transaction for you. And if that ever happens, and you have, say there are 2 of these transactions in here for whatever reason, then you will click on choose that transaction, and you would click exclude, and that would keep it out of your books. It would keep it out of your reconciliations and out of your registers. It will do exactly as it says, and exclude it from your books. Now I do want to show you a little trick here that I think is super helpful. In the gear icon in your bank feed, you can customize your bank feed. Some people like to turn on grouping, and what that does is it will group all the expenses together. It will group all the certain the dates together. You can change it however you like to see it. So there is that customization there. I like to copy the bank detail to memo and also show bank details because it's just super helpful, I think, to have this bank detail copied to the memo of the transaction. And like I said, you can just go right in here and you can choose to show up from 50 to 300 transactions in your bank feed, whatever you like to do. And you would do the exact same operations when it comes to doing your savings accounts, your credit card accounts, anything of that sort. It's still going to work the exact same way. Here we see there was a squeaky clean car wash transaction that came in on the 21st of May. And we have QuickBooks asking, is this the correct one or is this the correct expense? So you do need to watch that as well. And this is the correct date on the transaction, so we'll match. And here we have a new vendor, so we would enter her. Laura's Lamination. Okay. And then this is probably going to be considered office expenses. And you'll see here where I had changed that to put the bank detail in the memo. And this is nice because you'll see we'll go right over here to the, and you'll see here in the memo, it says business card. So it's kind of nice because you're going through the feed, you register, and you're like, wait, what did I buy there? What did I pay for? So it's really nice. I think it's, always great to have extra information. And, you can customize it however you like. So I hope this video was helpful. And as I said, stay tuned for the next video from QBO Cleanups, and we will cover bank and credit card reconciliations. Have a great day.